Bonwit Teller Company was a luxury department store chain that opened in 1895 and closed in 2000. Thank you for your suggestions.
Tatiana. It entices. It captivates. It seduces. I created Parfum Tatiana for a woman to love and a man to remember.
Now Diane von Furstenberg presents the Tatiana Fragrance Collection Case, an enticing offer for only $11.50 with any Tatiana fragrance purchase. Available at Bonwit Teller.
Paul Bonwit was born in Germany and moved to the U.S. in 1883, working in New York and Nebraska before returning to New York and joining Rothschild & Company. He would later open up a little millinery shop on 6th Avenue and 18th Street, right in the heart of Manhattan's shopping district known as Ladies' Mile. However, the actual founding of Bonwit as a name didn't officially begin until 1895 when he opened up another store a few blocks down. In 1898, Bonwit bought out his partner after their original business had failed. Bonwit teamed up with Edmund Teller and the two opened up a new store on 6th Avenue's 23rd Street. The two partners created an upscale women's store that carried high-end European designers, custom-made clothing, and quality American designers. Their store catered to the carriage trade. The partnership was incorporated in 1907 as Bonwit Teller & Company, and in 1911 the store moved to the corner of 5th Avenue and 38th Street. Bonwit was one of the group of upscale department stores on 5th Avenue. Among its most notable peers were Lord & Taylor and Saks Fifth Avenue. Bonwit specialized in high-end women's apparel at the time when many of its competitors were diversifying their product lines, and Bonwit Teller became noted within the trade for the quality of its merchandise, as well as the above-average salaries paid to both buyers and executives. Bonwit Teller began to expand in 1908 with a branch at 13th and Chestnut Streets in Philadelphia. The store remained at this location until March of 1928 when it moved 4 blocks west on Chestnut to 17th Street. It opened seasoned branches in Miami in 1918 and Palm Beach in 1935. In the 1920s and 1930s, they carried French models, including duplicates of Lanvin, Patou, Vionnet, and Maggie Rolfe, custom maids, and American-made garments, including designs by Nettie Rosenstein. They were noted for the quality of their merchandise and the salaries they paid their employees. Bonwit Teller found its home at 5th Avenue and 56th Street in the Art Deco behemoth of a building that was originally Stewart & Company. In 1930, Bonwit stripped the building of its gaudy, overly decorated interior in favor of a minimalist, severe, unornamented limestone. This location remained the flagship store for nearly 50 years. In 1926, the company established its first permanent Florida store in Tampa. In 1930, the company, in need of capital, partnered with noted financier Floyd Odlum. Odlum, who had cash in his stock holdings just prior to the stock market crash of 1929, was investing in firms in financial distress, and in 1934, Odlum's Atlas Corporation acquired Bonwit Teller. Odlum's wife, Hortense, who had already been serving as a consultant, was named president of Bonwit Teller in 1934, making her the first female president of a major department store in the U.S. The Odlums also retained a connection to the firm's founding family, naming Paul Bonwit's son, Walter Bonwit, as VP and general manager. At the main store at 5th Avenue and 56th Street, Miss Odlum was confronted with enormous financial problems bordering on bankruptcy. However, within her first 2 years, the volume of business doubled, and during the third, it tripled. She made major arrangements of boutiques and salons, introduced a bright, cheerful decor, and focused on customer relations. They were also a cultural institution, hiring artists to dress their windows, including a 1939 window display by Salvador Dali that resulted in the artist throwing a bathtub through the window when his vision was altered for modesty. Andy Warhol, Jasper Johns, and Robert Rauschenberg were other notable artists that worked as window dressers. During the 1940s, the company would expand to other areas of the country. In 1941, it opened a full-time branch in White Plains, New York. In 1946, Floyd and Hortense Odlum would sell their investment in Bonwit Teller to Walter Hoving's Hoving Corporation. With Bonwit Teller, Hoving would establish a strong retail presence on Fifth Avenue that would also include Tiffany & Company. Unlike its rivals, Bergdorf Goodman and Saks Fifth Avenue, Bonwit Teller provided an upscale shopping experience without the stuffy atmosphere. They pioneered the boutique within a boutique concept and were known for carrying the next exciting up-and-coming designers. The next year, a store was opened in Boston's Back Bay neighborhood in September of 1947. There were also stores in Cleveland and Chicago that opened in 1949. During the 1950s, artists Jasper Johns, Robert Rauschenberg, and Andy Warhol all worked at Bonwit Teller as window dressers, creating the iconic window displays. By 1956, Bonwit Teller would change ownership again less than 10 years after being purchased by Hoving Corporation. Genesco was a large conglomerate operating 64 apparel and retail companies. While Genesco's portfolio included other upscale brands, including Henry Bendel, the company was largely known as a shoe retailer. Bonwit Teller, which had developed a cutting-edge reputation promoting a young Christian Dior and other prominent American designers, gained momentum in its sales and fashion during the mid-1960s following the acquisition by Genesco. By 1960, the company operated stores in Manistee, Wynwood, and Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, and the small resort shops in Miami and Palm Beach. In 1961, the company built a store in Short Hills, relocated its White Plains store next to a large Lord & Taylor in Scarsdale. A store in Oak Brook, Illinois, opened in March of 1962. In 1972, the chain would expand to Beverly Hills. From the mid-1970s to the late 1980s, Bonwit competed head-on with its peer, Saks Fifth Avenue, retaining a role on the development of fashion and design, most notably helping to launch the career of Calvin Klein. In 1979, in the movie Rocky II, Rocky Balboa purchases his iconic silk tiger jacket within the Bonwit Teller store in Philadelphia. In 1979, Allied Stores Corporation acquired the company. The flagship Bonwit Teller store in Manhattan was purchased by none other than Donald Trump to be demolished for the building of Trump Tower. After promising to save the 15-foot limestone bas-relief sculptures depicting nude women dancing with scarves and the famously decadent Art Deco grillwork from above the doors to the Metropolitan Museum, New Yorkers were shocked and enraged when jackhammers destroyed the facade on June 5, 1980. The grillwork went missing as Trump defended his actions, saying that the pieces had no artistic merit. Its storied flagship Fifth Avenue store was planned to be rebuilt there opposite the new Trump Tower. Bonwit Teller reopened its store in April of 1981, now on 57th Street, as the new flagship, which would be the cornerstone to Trump's Tower's indoor mall. In the 1980s, the company would open branches in Ball Harbor, Palm Desert, California in 1983, Kansas City in 1984, Buffalo and Columbia, South Carolina. In 1987, Allied Stores Corporation sold Bonwit Teller for $101 million to the Hooker Corporation, an Australian business. Hooker would expand the company's store base from 5 to 16 during the period. In 1989, Bonwit was put on the auction block after the L.J. Hooker filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Under the bankruptcy, 2 stores in Cincinnati and Columbia continued to be operated by the Hooker Corporation under a license, while 5 stores Boston, Buffalo, Manistee, and Short Hills, and the Bonwit Teller name were purchased by the Pyramid Company. The Pyramid Company purchased Bonwit Teller from Hooker in 1990 and opened a store at the Carousel Center complex in Syracuse, New York. In May of 1990, Donald Trump demolished the Fifth Avenue store in order to make room for the Trump Tower. The flagship store in Manhattan was closed as part of the deal and left the space vacant until the Galeries Lafayette opened in the building in 1991, which now had a new interior and facade. But due to poor sales, the store closed in 1994. In the 1995 movie Die Hard with a Vengeance, the film's opening sequence where terrorist Simon's attention-grabbing bomb destroys a Bonwit Teller department store was one of the first scenes shot. Bonwit Teller had just gone out of business, so the production team decided to use their name. An almost empty building on lower 6th Avenue stood in for Bonwit's. Some of the stores purchased by the Pyramid Company were kept alive until they filed for bankruptcy in March of 2000. And the final store was closed at the Carousel Center. The rights of the brand had been bought and sold since, with rumors of bringing the historic fashion mainstay back, but we've yet to see any movement on that front. So what do you remember about this place? Leave a comment or a suggestion for a future video below. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.
Bringing back memories from the good old days. That's super cool, man.